Well, good morning and welcome to Authentically You. I'm so happy to have you, Sam, here with me. We've been trying to do this for a while. And Sam Scully is really my um, sister friend. I met her a while back at a conference and we've stayed connected. But Sam is doing some fantastic things right now. And I'm so excited to really just sit in and just hear about what's happening. So I'm going to let Sam introduce herself, but our discussion today is women, Black women in the drone industry. And so Sam's going to share her information. So Sam, rather than me introduce you, tell us what you do and tell us a little bit of how you got into this industry.
Hi, Carmen. Like you said, it's a pleasure to be on your show. And we did meet, I think it was June 2019 at the Witty conference.
Yes.
But as far as my background, I've always been into tech. Been into technology way before it was popular. And as the years grew and people started to get used to, computers, PCs, Macintosh, Apple, then we got with iPhones and cell phones. And then, of course, now we're moving over to some new type of technology, which is the drone technology. And so I got involved using drones, I think again, it might be 2020. And when I'm not working with drones, my main company is IT staffing. So I perform recruiting and staffing for the construction industry, architect, and engineering. And my role there as a disabled veteran and minority and female is to basically provide services for them to find, like I say, IT people, programmers, data scientists. Ever since COVID started, I got involved with drones. And one of the reasons I got involved was I went to a conference in Vegas. And from that conference, I started to attend seminars, Zoom meetings, and just kind of started to immerse myself in the industry. And then afterwards, after networking for about a year and listening to stuff I didn't really understand, I decided, you know what, let me get my license. And so that was a process in itself. So Carmen, do you want me to stop right there with my introduction or keep
No,
going?
that's good. That's good. I love what you're telling me, because really it was curiosity that started driving you to learn more about the drones.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit more about when you got that bug and you started listening. Did you formulate how you were going to use it, or you were just curious to know more about it?
Initially, I was curious to know more about it because my family in Florida, I have a brother who's an engineer in Florida, and he has two sons, and they had gotten their license early, like maybe about in 2016. So we're very competitive. And I said, okay, well, my nephews, they could fly a drone at 16. I could fly a drone at my age. So like you said, initially it was curiosity. And when I got ready to start to prepare myself for the test, I looked at a couple of different companies. I worked with a company at first in Atlanta. We were online learning. And again, I've never been a pilot. So when you're studying for a drone, you're basically studying about airspace. So you have to learn about the airspace. You have to learn about the weather. Of course, you have to learn about the regulations, because there are some places you can't fly. And so after going through that class, maybe for 3 months, I still felt like I could get it. I didn't know a stratus cloud from another cloud. So I decided to take another course. The second course was with a company called Authentically Drones. So Authentically Drones, they had a program which is a little bit more intense, about 100 modules, lots of video, and lots of just data. That's program number 2. So as I'm studying the program number 2, I have some other friends, sister friends, who are also, getting their drone license. They're like, Sam, I got my license. I was like, what? I'm still studying. So they say, no, this is what you got to do. So basically, they gave me the shortcut version of studying, and also the money saving value of studying. They had me go on Amazon.com. I got the pilot study book, and I got the pilot study questions. And once I started going through that study guide over maybe 13 weeks and taking a prep test, not every day, every other day, but getting my scores up, then I felt a little bit more confident to take the test. And anything I didn't understand, I would just go on YouTube and just watch it over and over. So finally the test day came, I had to make a test. But before you can even register for the test, it's like registering for the bar exam, because you're registering with the Federal Aviation Agency, and they have to have all your computer information, all your background information, because your license is through, I'm sorry, your certification, not license. Your certification is through the FAA. So finally, once I registered, got all my paperwork in, then I was allowed to get a test date. Took the test in June, and passed with an 87. And now I'm considered a certified pilot. So you say, well, what does that mean if you're not certified? Well, if you're not certified, you can still fly a drone. It's just that when you're certified, I can charge for my commercial services. And also, I'm considered in that particular network. So when they need a pilot, if I have a certain amount of flying hours. So as of now, I don't have a lot of flying hours, because the thing about having a drone, I still got my regular business. I still got my mom life and your other life. So you kind of have to fit your droning in your schedule. So the way that I fitted it in so far, I'll meet with drone groups maybe once a month, but sometimes maybe twice a month. Well, we go out and we call it a flyaway. And we fly over the ocean, we fly over different places. But the good thing about attending the flyaway, I am mingling with people who know the drone business. So when you get there, there's a safety setup. We have to cone off our perimeter. We have to, before you put the drone up in the air, you're going to make sure everything works. And then, of course, if there are any people around, you're going to make sure the people are not in your area. And so from going there, like I say, I learned things. And also there's certain equipment. You need a chair. You need a table to lay out your drones. You need a battery charger, because the battery in the drones don't last that long. It's like a whole slew of things. So you don't just go out there and play with the drone, because I'll just tell everybody, a drone is not a toy. It is an airborne piece of equipment, and you are responsible for that equipment if something happens. And you say, well, how do they know it's you? Well, drone has an identification. So when I'm registering with the FAA, once I buy my drones, I also have to register that drone, and it gets an identification number.
Wow. This is really interesting. One of the amazing things that you said, and that everybody probably who is listening to this probably peaked on this. You indicated that you can, when you're certified, you can generate income.
Yes.
So I have heard that drones really are transforming the industry. They're doing things in the window of climate change, search and rescue, photography, especially within real estate. I think that it's big in showing that aerial view of the home, and delivery of goods and services. So where have you, or I should say, have you identified an area where you're interested in specializing in?
My area, Carmen, is going to be education.
Okay.
Because as a pilot, yes, like I said, I need to get out and fly more, but I'm more passionate about education. When I first started in the tech industry, the way I developed myself and my business was to basically train people on how to use the internet, how to use 386s, 486s, PCs, Apples. And so as I kind of massaged the drone industry and still networking, I realized that education is a bigger angle for me, because I don't necessarily want to go out and do roofing, mapping. I am a little interested in cinematography, but my biggest area is going to be education and staffing, because it is a lack of women in color, a lack of women in general in the business. And of course, it's a way for, young kids to get a skill and, have a future. So I just decided, let me do education, and let me also staff business roles, because like I say, there's a lack of females in the industry, and let me find out what jobs there are, because I'm working with drone companies, and a drone company, just like Amazon, eBay, or Target, you need a finance manager, you need a business manager, you need a marketing manager, you need all of those business roles that, any other company needs. So that's where my niche will be. training, education, and / staffing and recruiting.
Boy, that sounds wonderful. That sounds like, I mean, you've got the strategy down. Can you tell me, based on your acquiring your pilot's license, you indicated that some people don't have to have their pilot's license. Is that only because of the income generated, or are there restrictions in where a non-certified pilot can go versus someone who is certified?
There are restrictions. The first restriction is when it comes to income.
Mm-hmm.
If you have your license, you can technically charge because you're considered commercial. If you don't have your license, you're not really restricted, but if you don't have your license, you don't really have certification. You don't really have that educated background because, and when you're not certified, you just think you could just go out and fly your drone. And you can, but there's some things you need to know because we don't own the airspace. So your airspace is, of course, above us. So as a certified drone pilot, I know the rules that I can't fly by Burbank Airport. I live near Burbank. I can't fly by LAX. As a matter of fact, the drone won't even take off. But if you're not certified, I just think that you should kind of know the rules. And there is a test, Carmen, I want to bring up. It's called the trust. And the trust is the recreational UAS safety test. Again, the recreation UAS safety test. And that is a free certification you can take within 45 minutes. And it's just for, novice drones. So they will understand there are regulations, there are rules, there is different airspace you can and cannot fly in. And you're not supposed to make money. But nobody's gonna know until you get on a commercial job. If you get on a commercial job, they're gonna expect for your pilot to be certified.
So tell me this. Having acquired your certification in this, and you are looking to drive it into the educational sector, do you have any feelings about the non-certified people? Because this seems like an industry where you're dealing with the unknown, and it's just like anything else. If you're dealing with the unknown, there should be some guidelines. And with someone who is not certified in this and never took this trust test to actually gain the knowledge of it, it seems like we're recreating what is the Wild Wild West, where some are badged and some are not, you see? So tell me what's your thought on drones moving forward?
Moving forward, I think, even if you're not certified, a lot of the people that I have ran into, even though they didn't take the test, they have a lot of skills from actually building their own drones, using their own drones, and still they have that capability of networking, where, you're going to meet somebody in the industry and say, oh, you can't fly over there by this way. So the other people will educate you. But like I say, when it comes to wanting to be a commercial drone person, you take the test, but you also need those hours. So the people who aren't certified, and they still have to register their drones, I'm pretty sure they do. For the people who aren't certified and they are flying, they are acquired hours. Okay. Now, I don't know if those hours will matter once they get the certification, which I think they probably will, because every time you use that drone, that is keeping track with your hours, just like our car. When we drive our speedometer, it knows when you've gone so many miles, and it doesn't go backwards, right? So the same thing with the drone. So as many hours as you fly, that person is still going to be acquiring experience. Then hopefully they will eventually get certified, or at least take the trust test, so they will know they will know their rights. And another thing I wanted to mention on camera, Carmen, was I was recently in Atlanta. And of course, I'm piloted. I got my jacket, wear safety jacket. I wear safety boots, because like I say, this is real. Got my glasses. or goggles. So I was at the Olympic Park and I had on my equipment and I took my mini Maverick out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing that, that they had probably already saw me on camera when I put that jacket on. So time I finished getting set up, the officer comes to me and says, do you have a license? I said, no. I say, I have a certification. I didn't ask you that. So because this person is a law officer, I didn't want to go touch with him. I knew my rights. So, but I did not want to push the issue. Mm-hmm. He said, oh, well, you can't fly in the Olympic Park because there are people here. The people were over there. I was over in another section that was clear. But again, like I said, I don't want to argue that. So my point is that the fact that I knew my rights, I could have went forward and say, based on this, but I didn't. So that'll be the difference between me and somebody who isn't certified. Because if you are, you're going to know that you can fly and you can fly, in a certain distance away from people. But if you're not certified, you might not know those details and you might not know how to have that conversation with that officer. In the end, he and I, as I packed up my equipment, he tells me his whole life story about his son because they are still curious, but some people don't want you in their domain. Well, he considered that his domain with your drones. So I just think that we have to educate ourselves, especially if you are going to be running into law enforcement, and you will, because people will call the cops on you.
Wow.
They don't want you flying over their house or over this, and they're like, well, this is my airspace, but we don't own the airspace, so it's free as of now.
Wow. This is so, it's amazing to me of what you just shared, because what you're sharing is that even within the certification process, you're still teaching. Even the officer that approached you, you're teaching him from a perspective of what your rights are and letting him know that you are aware of what your rights are. Because the interesting thing that I kind of got out of the scenario that you gave me is that he was protecting his space, but the question that I came with is, did he know what your rights were? Or did he care what your rights were?
He didn't care.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the other thing, Carmen, before you fly your drone, let's say you're going out to a family park, you know how you map quest your way there. So the same thing in the drone industry. Technically, I should have gotten on my phone because we have apps, and it's called something know before you fly. So you get on your phone, you use the app, and this app shows you where you can fly. And it also allows you to get permission to fly. But I did not get prior permission. And that was on my part, but I still could have flown, but it would have helped if I would have had that, registered. Oh, I've already gotten permission, and I could have just shown him I've already been cleared to fly. Then of course he might have walked away. But since I did not have that backup, I didn't have that map quest of where I'm supposed to be droning and getting permission. Then I really didn't, like I say, I didn't really want to go toe to toe with it.
So let me ask you this: how many hours? Okay, the hours are a requirement on the companies that you would work with, or is the hours required? Do you know how the hours are set, or how many hours you need in order to qualify for certain positions with certain companies?
A minimum of 100.
Okay.
A minimum of 100 hours.
And is your drone recording those hours just like a car?
Just like a car. It could go back and show me when I flew, in November, how long, if I flew 15 minutes, 8 minutes, or 80 minutes. But your drone usually only lasts about, at least the ones I have, the DJIs, the battery on them lasts about maybe 25 minutes. And so, constantly, changing batteries and putting it back up in the air. Or now I have 2 drones.
Okay.
So I'll just go from one drone to the next drone, let that one charge, make sure the batteries are charged, and go to the, just go switch drones.
So what's the investment? So someone like myself may be interested in it from a standpoint of more curiosity than anything. what's the investment for someone coming into the industry that is just curious about it?
Well, I can say it's definitely an expensive hobby.
Okay.
And then that's why you want to turn it into a commercial hobby. So you could give me a commercial so you can make money. But an average drone could cost anywhere from 150 to 500. Depends on the make and the model.
Okay.
My first drone, I think it was $499.
Mm-hmm.
The batteries, they're another set of money. That's another, cost. You need your safety gear.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about the safety stuff until I started hanging with the real droners. Your vest, your hat, your table, your chair. So we're already up to like $400 in supplies in addition to the drone. Then you got to pay for your license.
Okay.
Because every 2 years you have to renew your license.
Oh.
So the renewal fee, I can't remember, but I know to take the test, it was $125.
Mm-hmm.
Then you also have to register your drones. That's a low fee.
Okay.
And then the last thing, you have to get insurance for your equipment. That could be under 100. But once you become a commercial drone flyer, you have to get insurance like you get on your car.
Oh.
And that's a different type of insurance, which could cost you $1,000 or more.
Oh, wow.
Because again, when you go on site to, let's say, SCE, Southern California Edison, and they're going to be using you as a contractor with your commercial pilot license, certification, you still need to have insurance. Because if that drone crashes, falls into somebody's car or whatever it may be, you want to make sure you are covered. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that I did not mention, you also need a VO. A VO is a visual observer, meaning when I'm droning on a project, I need an assistant. So that assistant can help me, like, okay, I might be using my goggles or using my tools. They help me to, stay focused. And also you don't want to walk and drone because you could step into a hole or, the soil might not be level. So you want to sit and be still and drone and work your device. Okay. And that's what your VO is for, to assist you. And the reason I bought them up, because you might have to pay your VO. Okay. For that job. So let's say $2,500.
Okay. Wow. So what would you tell women who are interested in this field about the benefits of it? Because you certainly right now you've shared some things that most people won't get that knowledge of. So what would you tell them if they were interested in trying to move in this field as a hobby or as a change in their career path?
I would tell them, first of all, get connected with an organization, an association. I joined Women in Drones because they speak drone. We have a meeting every week. So with me joining the organization, I started to kind of get familiar with things. And also I'm building my network because for us, for Black women, it's a small little niche. And I remember when I first started to join Women in Drones, which was started by a Black woman, Sharon Rossbach in Chicago. It was about 6 of us on the call out of 30. I was on a call. We have a meeting every Tuesday. I was on a call last Thursday. Everybody on the call was a person of color. And of course we have others too, but it's like now and within the last 2 years, it's totally changed. When we go to the conferences, especially the UAS, Interdrone, those conferences, it's about 20 women there.
Wow.
And when we were there, like in October at the conference, they wanted to interview female pilots. They were like, we don't know any female pilots. So of course they come to Sharon and say, Sharon, where's your crew? Because we're all there, together. So we all did interviews and about, like you say, our experience, but there's a lack of us. So I would, like I say, join the organization, immerse yourself in the organization. Like I said, I'm part of Women in Drones. So when they have an event, I attend. And I also get a chance from being on the networking calls, also get to meet other people who have drone programs for kids. So one of my ways is, like, as I mentioned earlier, about the education, that's one of the ways that I learned how to kind of get in the educational field. It's by volunteering to support some of these drone programs. I've supported one camp called Crypto Kids Camp, ran by Naja Roberts here in LA. And they had a whole day of droning. I had about 18 kids. They drove me nuts. But I had my VO with me, my visual observer. And another one I did was, it was a program in San Diego, Girls That Drone. Okay. Girls That Drone this in San Diego. And this was a program where I went at the end of their program, they had been running it for 6 weekends. And these young ladies were between 8 and 15, and they all had to come up with a drone business. They all had to build a drone, and they had to pitch to me as their judge. And so some of their businesses was, like you mentioned earlier, delivery. One young lady developed one where the drone would go tell people when there's going to be a flood, bad weather. Another one was the drone would come and pick up your returns. You know how we all have those returns? And the drone would pick up your return. And so after that, just being involved just made me realize, it helped me see, man, okay, definitely education is where I want to be, because these young ladies came up with ideas, never built a drone before in their life, and they did this within 5 Saturdays.
Wow. So really, the STEM is bringing the children in, and curiosity is bringing everybody else into this market. And it's right now at its advent stage. It's just starting out. This is ground level. If you start in 2020 and you were only a handful of women looking at this, and now you're looking at 2 years later that, everyone on the call is knowledgeable in some area of drones, it's really growing fast. I'm just excited. I think this industry is it's a new option for not only women, for people to choose something that gives them flexibility, control over their life. And even in retirement, you're not retired. You're doing something that's fun. It's almost as if you're putting everything together and saying, if I could create this perfect job for myself, this is it.
Yes. And like you mentioned, it's for all age groups and for people who are disabled. This is another way for them to use, their skill set that they do have. And like you said, all ages, because the medium age is 50 years old.
Wow.
The medium age is 50 years old to enter this industry. And the other thing is, I like to say is, the good old boys, but the good old boys, they will give you a hand and say, hey, how can I help? This is different for them. So they want to help you.
Wow.
And then I also want to mention, we have women in drones in South Africa. So every Thursday we do a meeting with those ladies, and we have women who come on and talk about their experiences. We talked to a lady from Egypt. She has a program with the kids. And again, they have to navigate through training themselves, because the good old boys over there are not taking them by their hand. They've got to figure it out. So they got the good old girls here in the USA to help them.
Oh, that's beautiful.
We need to have more women, because we're also going to be, international.
Yeah.
So I look forward to, the drone industry helping me to get to Africa, because I've never been to Africa. And I also look forward to working on international programs as well.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you are really on a good runway. When I talk in terms of coaching, I always tell people the runway is as long as you want to make it. And as women, we don't want to be stuck anywhere. We want to be able to create our own path. And you've certainly shown today that the possibilities are endless. So I thank you so much for this time that you have spent with us.
I thank you for inviting me.
Oh gosh, look, you have to come back and do something else with a live audience of women, because I think that what you're saying, it just gives so much, so many more options that women can do, and they can change their career and not feel like, I don't know what I'm doing. They're basically doing this on their own time and determining how they build this business and taking flight. And that's a beautiful thing. So thank you so much.
And being in the air, being outside too. That's the other thing I like about it. You're outside.
Yeah.
You're outside sitting instead of in your house in your desk sitting.
Yes, that is beautiful. So thank you so much.